huge crowds, cheers ringing through central London as the Pride in London parade is beginning to make its way through the streets of the West End. I'm joined by one of the 300 groups involved in this march, Philip from the Pink Singers. And Philip, we can hear your group singing beautifully behind us.
Yes, indeed. They were formed 32 years ago to sing at Pride, because in the early days there wasn't any singing. We were chanting, you know, for our rights and for our freedoms. So today it's a big celebration, as you can hear.
I understand that, Philip, you've been involved in this festival since it first began. How have you seen it change over the years?
Oh, it's changed enormously. I mean, the first march in 1972, which went from Trafalgar Square to Hyde Park Corner, there were about 200 marchers and something like 400 police. And they went each side of us. And of course, there weren't any crowds of people. And the people that were there had no idea who are these gay people really? Are there as many as that? Good Lord. And we would actually end up and have a picnic in Hyde Park. It was all very civilized. Now, today, of course, we've got thousands of people, lots of floats, where you can hear everyone's really happy and cheering. And of course, because we're celebrating as much as demanding our political rights.
Huge crowds gathering along the parade line here in central London. Has it always drawn that bigger crowd? Have you always seen this number of people?
No, it hasn't. The crowds have come, I think, since we changed the event from a march to a parade. And indeed, as more and more people got to know LGBT people, as we've gained our rights. I think the turning point was when Section 28 was introduced by Margaret Thatcher's government. And then family members and friends got involved, so it became inclusive. What's very different now and so wonderful is that children and families and brothers and sisters and friends and flatmates come along, and it's a celebration for everybody, and that's really a good thing, I think.
And I understand that you've seen a real cross-section of society celebrating Pride so far this year.
Well, on the tube this morning, I was sitting next to a couple who had a 3-month baby, and the baby was in a rainbow shawl, and I said, are you going to where I think you're going? And they said, yes, it's his first Pride.
How significant is that for you, given that you've been a part of this celebration since it began? How significant is it to see new generations taking part in this?
Oh, it's fantastic, because, you know, all the sort of politicking and the marching that we did when we were was so that young people and people can be themselves, not just LGBT people, but everybody really. And so we've fought for the rights for people to do this. And they have different views than we did back in the old days. That's perfectly fine, you know. So it used to be quite hard work being gay, because you had to march and dance and learn the words "So I Will Survive." So I think it's and the good thing is that with groups like Stonewall and their young people's group, they're going out into schools, they're coming out in their families, and people realise that, you know, we're no different from anybody else, and we know how to have a good time.
Oh, you absolutely do. We're walking alongside your choir, the Pink Singers, who, as you can hear this lunchtime, the beautiful sounds ringing through central London. And tell us a little bit about how your choir has played a part in this year's celebration, particularly I hear in an anthem that you've recorded.
That's right. For the first time, London Pride commissioned an anthem, and they asked the Pink Singers to sing it, and it's called Together. And it really is about togetherness, but made even more appropriate by the events in Orlando. And so we'll be singing that on the stage in Trafalgar Square at 6 o'clock, when we will be doing a little sort of remembrance for the people in Orlando. So it's a huge honour for us to be given that song to do. And the Pink Singers, when we moved back to Trafalgar Square in 2004, we actually opened the stage that year as well with a song called Hand in Hand, which was a song that we learnt from the Orlando Gay Choir back in 1996. So there's this thread, if you will, of continuity. And I like to think I'm a bit of the thread, you know, having been on all these marches all over the years.
It certainly sounds like it, Philip. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Happy Pride.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Pride to everybody.
And as you can see in central London this lunchtime, the streets absolutely packed. Huge cheers echoing through Oxford Street this lunchtime from Regent Street. This parade will make its way through the city and ending up in Whitehall. Talking of which, let's cross over to Trafalgar Square and find out what's happening on the main stage.
How they shine for